Hello, I'm Dan Schinder.
And I'm Steven Schinder.
And you're watching Yesshift, which is
a father-son vlog / podcast where we talk about Yes, people who've worked with Yes, and prog, like tangents. And this episode will primarily focus on celebrating Roger Dean. August 31st is his birthday. We're recording on the 30th, although it's technically the 31st in England right now as we're recording. So
that's true.
Yeah. And so what we'll be doing, and we'll be doing other stuff first, but what we're going to do is we're going to go through the Yes studio albums that he did art for. And
there's a lot.
Like half the catalog at least. And we're going to each say which song we think best fits the artwork. But first, we're going to touch on the news that came out yesterday regarding the upcoming Yes US tour, and then sprinkle in a couple other time-sensitive, Yes-ish related things, and then dive into the Roger Dean stuff.
And when we do dive into the Roger Dean stuff, we'd like you to answer the same questions that Steve and I are answering for each other. Which song of each album best represents the artwork that Roger did of that album, or vice versa? I'm looking forward to getting to the going for the one answer. Which still blows my mind, that whole thing. But anyways, so what do we got first? We got some really neat news.
Yeah, so the news that came out yesterday on Monday, and we'd heard rumblings that this was coming, and so we kind of knew what to expect, but basically over on Yes World, and I'll share the link in the comments, they've announced that the upcoming US tour, which is from October to November, will still be the Close to the Edge 50th anniversary tour. They've mentioned that, the first date listed here is for the Alan White celebration, Alan White celebrating his life and music concert that'll be in the Paramount Theater in Seattle on October 2nd, featuring members of Yes and his band White. So that's the first thing listed here. And then if they go from Pennsylvania to all sorts of places, Florida, I see Texas on here, a few California ones. And across North America, well, the US, oddly, there's no Canadian dates, but and of course they're paying tribute to Alan and still celebrating Close to the Edge as well. So we kind of went over our reactions when they initially switched from Relayer to Close to the Edge earlier this year for the UK, and they're still doing Close to the Edge for Japan this coming month in September. So does this news surprise you at all, Dad? Like, what's your overall reaction that they're doing Close to the Edge still for US?
I'm happily surprised because they should be celebrating it. And I'm surprised only in the way that we weren't sure if it was going to happen. You know, there wasn't any firm word on it, as it's been for about 54 years with Yes. But that's the one surprise. Like, it just sort of came out of nowhere, but it makes sense. And they should be celebrating it this year. I mean, how they didn't think of that ahead of time and planned on Relayer to begin with is kind of weird. Maybe they forgot what year it was or what year it came out, or I don't know what went on there. That's quite curious to me, but it's cool that they're doing it. And it's really interesting. You and I talked about this very briefly a day or two ago, that there's a post I shared to you in Messenger, and I said, wow, some people are really into this and some people are hating on it. And it's that whole Yes isn't Yes without conversation. And we don't want to get into that here. Not right now. Maybe someday we'll have some show just about that so people can get out of their system. But it is cool that a lot of people are like, whoa, I can't wait to see this. And other people are saying, I saw their last couple tours and they were so together. They sounded so great. And, you know, all that stuff. And now Jay joins the band, and we've reached out to Jay. Hopefully he'll come on Drum Talk TV, and Yesshift will broadcast that simultaneously, simulcast it just like we are all these episodes. But long answer to your question, I'm happily surprised that they are following through and bringing it to the U.S. It'd be stranger if they didn't. I can't imagine a reason why they didn't. And Steve, I don't know if you know this, the reason why there's no Canadian dates, they're not that well known in Canada, actually.
Well, there have been Canadian dates on previous tours. Yeah, I figured when I saw you smiling just now, but yeah.
Steve just blows past it, just ghosts me on that
one. Yeah, like there have been some tours, like I'm looking at Forgotten Yesterdays. I see that there were no Canadian dates for Topographic Drama in 2016 or the 50 tour in 2018, but on a bunch of these tours there are at least a few Canadian dates, although on their last US tour that they did, the Royal Affair tour, there was only one Canadian show in Toronto. Yeah, so I'm a little bit surprised by that aspect, but yeah, we'd been hearing for a while that they were hoping they could come to the US for like October, November, that area, but they were saying maybe we'll do Relayer then, but I think as we kept getting closer to it, I sort of got resigned to the fact that, you know what, they'll probably do Close to the Edge since they're so used to the set list as it is now. So it's not as much of a shock as it was when they switched from Relayer to Close to the Edge for UK earlier this year. And I think you were more positive on that than I was, but I've kind of grown like used to it and
sense,
fine with it.
You know?
Yeah.
I don't understand something. Okay, you and I either have or have heard a lot of Yes bootlegs over the years. I've seen them in concert a lot of times over the years. You've seen them a couple times. And I don't understand. Someone please chime in and remind me, why aren't they just doing both? Why aren't they doing both albums plus 2 or 4 songs from The Quest, since that's the new album? Like,
yeah,
why
they are only doing 2 songs from
so why isn't it a 2.5-hour show doing both albums, some of The Quest, and of course Roundabout and God forbid All Good People? Like, why not? You know, really, why not? I think that's a valid question. They did back in the day. I've got a bootleg up on my shelf of them doing all of Close to the Edge, all of Tales from Topographic Oceans, and Roundabout. So why aren't they doing it?
Well, maybe they need more time for Relayer, I guess. But yeah, I would prefer for them to just
do both.
But it's like they have to feel ready for it. You know, it's sort of a give and take situation. But I totally feel you. And there have been mixed reviews, not just for the Yes side of things, but also for John and the School of Rock. Like I've seen people on both sides saying that to them, like one or the other is like some people on both sides love the show. Others don't like the pacing. Either it's too slow or too fast. It's really all a matter of perception and how we take in the energy from each of these shows. So it'll vary from person to person, of course.
I think a great concert, if I may, would be this whole weird inversion thing of doing Close to the Edge, Siberian Khatru, cool down a bit with Then You and I, cool down more with To Be Over, go into Sound Chaser, and close with Gates of Delirium, ending with Soon, and do Roundabout as an encore, or do 2 or 3 Quest songs. And I only say that because, I mean, that's the album that came out. How do you not tour the album that came out? Right. I've complained about that in other forums before, but
so have I.
yeah, you have. And while I respect, your view in giving them some slack and some latitude, saying be ready, this and that, folks, I can't let this completely out of the bag, but in a day or two I can. Steve, if you think about what I decided to put together, and I edited this crazy thing that I'm going to be playing to, that I've only had today to listen to, and I'm recording it tomorrow, and I'm not even Yes. I mean, if I handed it to them, I'd expect them to be able to do it on 2 days' notice. I'm doing it, so why can't they do these 2 albums together that they all should know inside it? I can't find that much. Sorry, guys. I can't find that much rope to give them on that one. I don't know why. Like, why aren't they doing both? I don't have a satisfied answer to that.
Yeah, I mean, I don't play any instruments, so you have me like you have more experience on like that end of things, and I know that they've had a break because of a pandemic, but it's like they could rehearse individually, but I don't know, is it a different thing rehearsing together? Like
it is.
I don't know. Like I don't know like how much preparation they would have needed before getting together and how much of it sticks. But
okay, so
I see your point.
Thanks. You know A.D. Adams.
Yeah.
Okay, so folks who don't know, A.D. Adams is a great drummer. He's been a longtime drummer of Louis Prima Jr. and the Witnesses. They all live all over, and Louis Jr. lives in Vegas. And we were living in Vegas at the time when I met A.D., who lives in Phoenix. And when I first was getting to know A.D., I said, so you guys are getting ready to go on tour and do some shows. And I said, you guys live all over. Do you rehearse in Vegas? He said, what? And I said, do you guys all get together in Vegas to rehearse before you go to? He says, we don't rehearse. We're professionals. Like, they don't even rehearse. They just all know the stuff. They know their shows so well, they get together and they do it. And it's not the same show over and over and over and over every year. So given that, sorry, I find it mind-boggling. I do.
Yeah,
I've been playing the music as long as all of them have. I could do it. I'm saying it. I could do it. If someone said, Dan, they need you. Jay has a cold. He sprained his ankle, whatever. We need to have you step in tomorrow and do All Close to the Edge. I could do it. I know the music that well. I expect them to.
Yeah, and I don't want it to seem like I'm 100% defending not doing
doesn't. I don't feel that way.
Because like I really do want Relayer. It's just I guess I'm trying to
dick about it either. But I just don't have a satisfied answer.
Yeah, it's like I'm playing devil's advocate, trying to see it like why,
rationalize it,
answering the question why sort of thing. Which and
folks, Steve and I, we don't talk about these episodes before we do them. Really, we had no idea that this can of worms would open up, or spring snakes, or whatever's going on here. But it just occurred to me when you were talking about the change. I thought, why aren't they doing both?
Yeah.
Anyway,
like I think we were expecting to just breeze through it quickly, and then we were like, oh, we have lots of thoughts about this thing, but so it's not that surprising that they're going this way, but at the same time, we're like, why not just do this other thing as well while you're doing this?
Yeah, and we're out of time, so we'll be back tomorrow with Roger Dean's feature. Just kidding. Stay with us, folks. Stay with us. All right. What's next? Well, let's see how it all unfolds. And maybe when we get Jay on, or we'll get Billy on again, or with Steve regarding the album with Virgil, we'll ask them in a very gracious, respectful way. It's a legitimate question. And Steve might say, most of us are we're just older now. Jeff Downs just turned 70. Steve's 88 or 75, whatever. It's a legitimate question, and there might be a legitimate music that they just don't play that long in concert anymore.
Right. And before we go into the next thing, I just want to read a couple comments I see over on the Drum Talk TV thread. Christopher Whalen says, loved Yes musicianship and the finest mesos of their day in the rock world. And then apparently was surprised to find out they're still playing.
Oh.
Hello? So, yeah. Quim Preto, I hope I pronounced that correctly, says, I'm a drummer in Portugal, a very simple drummer, enjoy life and music. That's a Dom Famularo quote.
Oh, yes.
I like your conversations. So
thank you.
Yeah.
Thanks for following Yesshift, and thanks especially for following Yesshift on Drum Talk TV.
Yeah. So real quick before we get into the Roger Dean stuff, here's some time-sensitive stuff.
Wait, there's Roger Dean stuff?
Yeah. That's the majority of the episode. But
but we do have some time-sensitive info to let you in on. And the reason it is time-sensitive is because
they're happening soon and currently happening.
And discounts.
Discounts. So I guess we'll just start with the discount thing. So over on Amazon, the the Asia, the official live bootlegs volume 1 box set is now 28% off. So for us in the US, it's marked down from $98.98 to $70.99. I'm not sure how long that sale is for.
I was going to ask, yeah.
Yeah, I tried inquiring about it, but I haven't gotten an answer. And then we also have, let me just look at our notes.
Why don't we ask Chip or Bruce, who works with Carl and them? We just had Carl Palmer on. Bruce would know, right? Bruce Pilato or Chip?
I should have thought of that, but okay. Yeah, I guess people, if you really want to get this, get it as soon as you can.
Yeah, get it while you can. Such a deal.
Yeah, and we've talked about before how Rick Wakeman is going to be part of the 70s Rock and Romance cruise in March of next year. And it was announced, I saw this over on his Facebook page. Apparently cabins are selling fast and people can use the code WakemanFan for an exclusive rate. That's in all caps. I don't know if it's automatically all caps or not, but yeah, it's in all caps. And also Bandcamp Fridays are back from first Fridays of September through December. So you got 4 Bandcamp Fridays right there. So people can buy stuff for people's Bandcamps and they give them the artist gets a bit more of the money royalty that comes from that. Yeah, more royalty. So yeah, maybe I'll see if there's anything I can get. Cool. And John Anderson over on Patreon is doing an Ask Me Anything for patrons on Thursday, September 1st at 7:30 Eastern US time. So that's 4:30 Pacific.
And you're one of his patrons, right?
Yeah, I'm still subscribed to the Patreon, so I'm going to try to catch this. And
what would you ask?
I'm got to figure that out. I'll think of something, but yeah. And of course, onto the Roger Dean stuff. His and his daughter Freya's exhibition titled The Secret Path has begun. It began on August 25th and is happening through October 30th over in San Francisco at the Haight Arts Center. It's spelled Haight. Okay, and you could get the info like just looking at Roger's Facebook page. And we got a few pics. Like we got, we have Roger's profile pic, and we also have a poster for the exhibition and a pic of.
Poster's beautiful.
Freya. Yeah.
What's this new butterfly kick he's on?
Yeah, he's used that for the Close to the Edge 50th stuff
and the quest has the bird, so there's something about wings going on. Maybe he's somehow there's something about being airborne going on or something. I think it's neat.
Yeah, it kind of feels to me like a throwback to the dragonfly thing on House of Yes with the whole winged insect.
Oh, interesting.
Thing,
yeah.
So, so if people can go to that exhibition, definitely try. I don't know if should we talk about it or So we're looking into whether we can go there maybe in October. So we got to finalize some details and stuff. So
if it does work out, we'll do some live stuff from the trip. We'll do some episodes on the road and while we're there. And the way it would happen, Steve and I live a few hundred miles away from each other. So I'd fly to him, then we'd drive to the exhibition in San Francisco, spend some time there, drive back. Then I'd fly home. So it'll be plenty of time for us to do some stuff. Maybe have some fun, special, we haven't talked about this. I'm making this shit up as I go along. And Steve's probably going, oh, we're going to do that? Maybe some Yesshift on the road episodes or something like that. And we can spell it. Yeah, episodes, SOADS. Get it? On the road episodes.
Right, sure. Yeah, and I know Yes is like in California in October, so I might possibly look into that. It'll depend on some factors, I'm sure, but like either way, like going to the exhibition would be really cool. So we'll keep everyone posted as we figure things out. I guess that leads us into our discussion going through the art that Roger Dean has done for the Yes studio albums.
And let's kind of lay this out for everybody. We're going to go chronologically by album, starting with the first Yes album that Roger did the artwork for. This is all studio albums. We're going to start with Fragile, and we're going to say what song on each album do we feel best matches up with the artwork and vice versa. And we want you folks to chime in too. It's almost like a game in a way. There's no right or wrong answer. It's all our own personal things, but we'd love to hear from you. And it'd be interesting, just like we talk about everyone's favorite albums, everyone's favorite songs, the different variety of answers we might get from this. Like Steve and I have not shared one answer to any of these together. So I have no idea what his picks are. He has no idea what mine are. We have no idea what yours are, and we'd love to know. So let me pull up contestant number 1 is Fragile. There's the front cover, and then we're going to go to, it's got the airship there, and then we're going to go to that's the back, right? Back or inset, the back.
Yeah, and I think for some of these albums, like the answer will be very obvious, but some of these you could like really debate, and it'll be interesting. I also included the interior artwork, which may or may not like, I don't know if we want to like divide.
I was going to ask you, is it one song for, I told you we didn't talk about it, folks. Is it one song that represents everything, or could each piece of art be represented by a different song? Like, obviously this is, you know what, I'm not going to say it. I think you know what I would say this is. And then there's, you know, so I'm okay with it being broken up into different,
much like how the planet is breaking up.
Yeah, that's true. So what do you think relates to the front art?
So this is my answer for like the front and the back art, like just the planet and the glider thing.
Okay.
I think my answer is We Have Heaven, and maybe part of that is the hindsight of this feels very much like the seeds of Elias of Sun Hilo, and so there's that connection. And, you know, heavens reminds me of space, and, you know, he is here could refer to like the glider arriving. So yeah, for me, I think I would assign We Have Heaven to the front and back art.
I agree, and this obviously would be South Side of the Sky.
Yeah, I think so too, because it has like the mountain and the sunshine.
The climber.
Yeah,
that one's pretty clear. This one is interesting. I've always been curious about this one, and I was
the one with the creature.
Yeah, and I'm trying to remember. So how old would I have been? 8 when this came out. And so I was, I think, 10 when I first saw this. And I always thought this was not scary, but just sort of like freakish. Like, it doesn't fit. I don't get it. I mean, I see how those look fragile. They almost look like weird newt type things, but I don't even know what song to put with that, to be honest with you.
Yeah, for me, like, again, I don't know what it is, but I did wonder if maybe it's some sort of amphibious creature, and if so, maybe it's like near the ocean, and so maybe the fish could possibly fit with it.
Maybe, but you'd think there'd be a fish.
It is a reach, I know.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just couldn't think of anything else that could possibly match to it.
Yeah. Now, I bet some people are going to say Roundabout, simply because that's the song they associate most with the album, that and Long Distance Runaround. But we're looking for more of what song, not, you know, I mean, that's one perspective to have, that's fair. But we're looking for artwork-wise, visually, and artwork-wise, musically, what seems to be the best match representative. Go on to the next one?
Yeah.
This might be the most difficult one. So this is the front, and then we're going to go to the gatefold. This is probably one of the most famous gatefolds ever.
Yeah, this is Close to the Edge, of course.
Is the name of the album. I'm going to say this is, for me, the best match is 5% for Nothing. This is like, it's Close to the Edge, you know? It's literally it. It literally is. That's a no-brainer.
Yeah, like the interior artwork with like the edges and waterfalls, like it's clearly close to the edge. And even if you're just talking about the green cover,
Yeah,
I would still say Close to the Edge, even without the logo, because Close to the Edge is the greenest sounding song because of all the imagery that it
exactly. The
includes.
opening with the leaves blowing and the birdies and all that
Yeah.
stuff. Yeah. Okay, moving on to probably my favorite. One of my very, very favorites, and this is Tales from Topographic Oceans. What do you think for this one, Steve? I'm curious how close ours go together. And by the way, the thing that's always interested me or been most curious about this cover is that Aztecian pyramid in the background. I've always thought that was like, what was that an afterthought? Was that because it's just so unrelative to a lot of it in a way, the way I'm interpreting it. But what?
Yeah, I can't remember if it's Aztec or Mayan, but it is an
you're right.
odd addition, definitely.
Yeah. Zoom in on that a little bit.
Right, so I could kind of see arguments for how any of the songs might fit best, but for me, I think it's the revealing science of God, because to me it looks like the sun is rising, and so that's like, the dawn of the light lying between the sound sensed sources, and
Cast a midfusion of wonder.
yeah, and with the fish, the water, it reminds me, and the title being Topographic Oceans, makes me think of the ocean and whatnot. And in the song they say, and we dance from the ocean. So I think that's my pick for this.
It's mine also.
Oh,
I
wow.
just realized the pyramid might be representative of the ancient. So now that we have that, let's look at this cover. And do we see all 4 songs in this? That's probably what's to be interpreted. Tales from Topographic Oceans is there. Maybe the ancient ritual. I'm not sure.
Right. Yeah, I think this is something I wondered about a while ago.
There's that pathway on the right. There's that branch seemingly coming out of the middle of the granite or whatever rock that is in the middle. There's this stream. So you've got, that's interesting. I wonder if there's an interpretation of each song in that consciously,
Yeah, it could be possible.
Yeah, that'd be a question I would ask Roger for sure. We plan on having him on, whether it's when we see him at the exhibit, if he's even there, or if it's on our show here. So
right.
Cool. Next, when we did his show last year and we talked about favorites, I think this was number 1, right? Relayer?
It was definitely high up there.
And it's very interesting.
I know Tails was as well.
Yeah, it's very interesting that this ranks so high and has the least amount of color and saturation. And it's so neat how the crags or whatever those formations are represent keys and keyboards in a weird way. You get the Tolkien aspect. I mean, this is Gates of Delirium all the way. This is literally the story, I think.
Oh, really? I was going to say it's To Be Over, because
really?
when confronted with a giant snake, I just want it to be over. No, I'm kidding. It's Gates of Delirium. Of course it's Gates of Delirium. Like, there's no other answer. You know?
It's literally like if they made a film, this would be a scene. I'd love for him to make an animated film of Gates with the original soundtrack and the artwork all based on that. That would just... If there's one album, even more so than Tales, that's the one I would pick. Just make a full-length film out of it. It's a story that unfolds. It's getting goosebumps. Okay, folks, I hope you're chiming. Are they chiming in, Steve? What's going on? What's happening?
I don't see any.
Oh, come on,
comments,
people!
But...
Chime in. Let us know. Okay, this one I'm real curious. I think I know what your pick is going to be for drama. I think we're going to have the same one.
Yeah, probably. So I think it's Tempest Fugit or Fugit, however you pronounce it. Because there's that lyric about the leopard or that's like blended into the background type of thing. So Yeah, I think it's that song, the Final Drama.
So me too, but let me ask you this. If it was sans the motion of the two birds and the three cats, what would it be? That totally changes the cover because then
like if it's just a landscape.
yes, it would just be static. There's no trees blowing. There's these cacti looking things. You got the rock formation, some trees in the background, but there's no motion without the animal life. So what would it be for you then?
Well, weirdly, I think it's a glacier, but weirdly, like the first thing my head went to was, well, the glacier is white, so maybe white car, but that doesn't make sense the more you think about it. But
right,
you know, maybe Into the Lens, because I could imagine someone like bringing their camera to this type of place, maybe make a nature documentary type of thing.
I like that.
It's there by the water side, you know?
Yeah, you're right. That great pick. I agree 100%. Yeah, when you really zoom in. I used to have the sort of baseball jersey sort of T-shirt that's white in the middle with colored. It had red sleeves, and it had that on the cover. And like an idiot, you know, I was young, so this is 1980, but by 1982 or 3, I still had the shirt. And I wore it to my job one day. I was a silkscreen artist, and I got silkscreen epoxy ink on it. And
oh my gosh,
I know, and it ended up probably getting thrown away. I had another really bizarre Yes concert shirt that was a total bootleg shirt. It had no official artwork on it. Even the logo was weird, but it had a dragon and on a black shirt. It was real colorful. I don't know what happened to that. And we lose stuff along the miles of life, you know.
Yeah, I would not wear this Yes t-shirt to any, like, I would just, like, I'm very protective of it. I would never have made that decision that you did.
I don't know what was going on in my head. I don't know. So the next one, Steve and I had just a quick text conversation. Do we include this or not? He wasn't sure. And I said, you know, a lot of people consider this a Yes album. They put it in their rankings and everything. So here we are with a beautiful album cover with ABWH. And the interesting thing between this and Drama, if I could click back and forth real quick, look at the difference. So what's the difference in time span, Steve? This is 1980 with Drama.
Yeah, and ABWH is 89, so 9 years of experience.
Only 9 years, which doesn't sound like a lot, but this is also post-Asia. And his work took a leap, I think, with those first 2 Asia albums. In a previous Roger Dean episode, we showed tons and tons of Roger's work outside of Yes, and I can't contextualize what else he did during these 9 years, but clearly what he started to do with what we saw with Asia definitely progressed even more, and we see that result in the arc of his work with this, where he really amplified what he was doing with architecture, just everything here. I love this cover. This just puts you in another world, as all his work does. But then you got the familiarity with the eagle, and I think it's brilliant.
Yeah, he even continued the trend of having like that body of water right there.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
I have a song in mind for this one, and we might have the same one. But like, what's yours that you have in mind?
I think it's I'm having a senior moment. It's the first track on the album.
Themes?
Yeah, is it Themes? Do 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 bum 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 down down. Be gone, you ever fearful.
Yeah, it's Themes.
Okay, I think that to me, I just so associate it slightly, maybe, or maybe a lot, in the way a lot of people would just automatically associate Roundabout with Fragile. That song, I just remember hearing it for the first time. To me, it's Themes. There's so many things going on there.
Okay.
What about you?
So for me, and again, you know, sometimes we'll try it by the music or by the lyrics, but for me, it's Brother of Mine, because
really,
you know, because there's the words "see the desert, we have walked the path." So you know, there's a desert, and there's also Sing long lost brother of mine, watching me fly like an eagle, or maybe it's seeing me fly like an eagle. But yeah, it mentions an eagle, and like the music video for that song also fed into like the desert and eagle motifs. So I guess that helps push that idea into my head.
That all makes sense. I had a completely different way of associating the music with the song. Yours is much more rational and contemplative, whereas mine was that, to me, Long Lost Brother of Mine is so commercial, if you will.
Yeah.
Compared to the rest of the stuff on the album, that I didn't relate the album cover to something that radio friendly. It's more enchanting, so that's why Themes is the fit for me. Okay. Now I want to hear that album.
Yeah. Now this next one, Union, was perhaps the toughest one for me.
Oh yeah, especially because of the weird variety of music on that album.
Yeah, we have like the front cover and like a bit of art on the back as well. But yeah, like this one was tough for me because going through the lyrics, there wasn't really much about rock formations. So.
And it doesn't always have to be lyrically associated. I know you're a wordsmith, so that's natural. Your brain would go there.
Yeah, so I suppose one could try going by the music. For me, I think after a lot of thinking, I settled on I Would Have Waited Forever, if only for the fact that it mentions a landslide, and for some reason, like this crazy arched rock formations, like in my head I can imagine like some action movie where like a landslide like causes like the rock formations to like curve or something, where that might not really be possible, but it's like that's sort of my ridiculous reach, I guess.
Gosh, I don't know. I didn't think up through these things a lot. In fact, if folks don't mind, I'm going to pull up real quick the track list, because there's so many songs on there. Bear with me here. Yes, Union track listing. Oops, I misspelled yes.
Yeah, I also like how during this period, Roger was also using like it looks like he used something that looks like finger painting, like he puts out on Union and the Yes Years box set, which the Yes Years artwork is probably the one that gets me the most nostalgic because it makes you think of the video documentary.
Yeah. So I think for me, it's Miracle of Life is my favorite song on that album, but it in no way to me is tied to that cover.
So is there one that you think works better, or?
Yeah, I think.
Like, is there music that maybe it's just the music that makes you think?
To me, that's how all these are. It's mostly the music for me, and I think it's either The More We Live.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, or Angkor Wat, which...
Oh, yeah, because that has like a geographic aspect to it.
Exactly. You know, they thought Angkor Wat was the center of the universe. That's how it was. That's, I think, also what it might mean. So
yeah, I think I did consider that song for that reason. But
yeah, there's something that's thematic, relevant there for me. And then we have Keys to Ascension 1, which has a lot of aspects from the Union album. If you look at those rock formations.
Yeah, the arches.
Yeah.
We also included an alternate version, which I think is like the interior artwork, which has more moss. It's more moss focused, I guess.
Yeah.
And yeah, so
for me, it's that is. There's just something about it that represents the Keys studio stuff for me.
Right. Yes. So for the Keys to Ascension stuff, we decided we're limiting our choices to just the studio tracks.
Right.
So for Keys 1, I went the opposite direction. I went with Be the One because that reminds me of...
That's actually what I meant. I'm sorry. Seriously,
Okay.
yeah, I actually meant Be the One. Yeah, that's the song I was hearing in my head. I don't know why I said that. That is, yeah.
Okay, yeah,
But
because
what's the
that
reason for you?
is that is makes me think of of the city, whereas Be the One feels a bit more vague, more it has more like universal themes. It sounds kind of cosmic, almost talking about love and all that. And yeah, I just feel like between the two, Be the One feels more apt
Yeah,
somehow.
that makes sense. And then there's this alternate one. And then there's Keys to Ascension 2, which I actually really quite like. The Pink theme is just so different. You don't see Pink on a lot of
Yeah.
albums. In fact, I have one other album in everything I own. Two, actually. One is Jethro Tull's A Passion Play, has some Pink, and my best of B-52s is a Pink cover.
Yeah, this is a pink version, and there's also a blue version on the next slide. But yeah, so
Yeah.
out of the studio tracks that are on Keys 2, which one would you say fits the art the best?
It's easily Mind Drive. I
Okay.
just associate Mind Drive with that album so much. How about you?
Yeah, I think for me, it's actually Footprints.
No, you're wrong.
because-
It's Mind Drive.
Yeah, because
That makes sense.
the title makes me think of like traveling, and if you travel, you might go to places like this, like these rock formations. So that's sort of my reasoning.
You know
And real
what's
quick-
weird? Oh, go ahead.
Oh, I was just gonna say real quick. I see a comment from Sarah Hohepa who says, "Watching from New Zealand, y'all are very inspirational. I'm
Thank you.
currently listening to some jazz."
Thank you, Kiwi. Ms. Kiwi.
Right. So what were you gonna say?
I was going to say, even when I hear Mind Drive, I so associate it with that cover. I'm a very visual thinker. It's just how I see Pink when I see that song in my head.
Okay, yeah, I think I do as well.
Yeah, interesting how that works. Now, we've got
Yeah,
this
now
one.
the Key Studio.
Yeah.
Yeah, so for this one, we can use any of the studio tracks from Keys 1 and 2. I have an answer. Do you
Okay,
have one?
I do. Mine is I'm brain farting again. Jeez, getting older is so much fun. Hold on, I got to look at the list of this other thing I have in my phone. Bear with me, folks. Well, Steve goes.
Yeah, in the meantime, I'll say mine. For me, it's Bring Me
That's
to the
mine.
Power.
That's mine. Bring me to the power.
Wow.
Isn't that bizarre? Now, what's so bizarre about that is there's really nothing relevant in that artwork. So I think it's just a feel or an emotion we get that somehow whoosh, matches up.
Yeah, because this artwork is just a few colors and the logo. But
Right.
I think for me, it's because Bring Me to the Power is such a weird song, and the keys get really weird. And there's that whole thing of, if we don't give them the keys, how are we supposed to get? And so I think, just in my head, like thinking of the colors of the song, like it's like,
Yeah.
it fits the Key Studio art, I guess.
Cool. Now, this next one's a step even more simplified, if I may use that word, Roger, from Key Studio, and that is simply the logo with an orange gradient against black. Open Your Eyes. And this is this might be one of the hardest ones because, quite frankly, it's really just the logo, and then you're led psychologically by the title on there. And I have to say, the title track is what I think of when I see this.
Yeah, there's really no room for interpretation. It's like we can't really, we pretty much only have to use the words that are on there. So yeah, I would say Open Your Eyes. And the word eyes has the word yes in it. So there you go.
Cool. Moving on to one of my favorite Roger Dean album covers, and one of my favorite Yes albums, quite frankly, The Ladder. I love this cover. I love how he's got, and I really hope he would not be offended by this. You know who the artist Kincaid is? Who does the cottage paintings with the lantern lights outside and like lights inside the cottages and the cottage gardens. Are you familiar with Kincaid?
I'd have to look it up and
look it up, and I'm reminded by his work a little bit by the way Roger has these illuminated windows in these stone architectural structures. Just that element, and it's not quite day, it's not quite night. You don't know if it's twilight, you don't know if it's dusk.
Yeah, these look familiar, so maybe I have seen Kincaid's work.
And who do you think that is on the bridge?
I've always thought it was like a couple hikers.
Yeah, but who? And why just two? Oh, no, there's possibly three more right here. But
Yeah,
there were
maybe.
6 in the band at the time.
Yeah, so like I wonder what that's all about.
But it ended up one of them not returning. So interesting. Maybe prophetic?
So do you have a song in mind for this one?
This one's hard. I'd say it's not. I'll tell you what it's not, and I'll tell you why, if I could tell you that
Okay.
first. It's not Homeworld, because I remember when this came out and there was that game that was built around Homeworld. So I'm seeing those graphics with the spaceship and everything. And I know there's that floating thing to the left. So it's not Homeworld. It's more so either... I gotta look at the tracks. Either Face to Face or...
Is it Lightning Strikes or
No, because there's no lightning. Otherwise, it could be.
To Be Alive? Or
hold on. I really really need to look at the track list. So I'd say it's
all right,
probably,
no worries.
For some reason, either Face to Face or Finally, even though there's nothing really relevant lyric-wise, it's just the feeling I get from those songs and when I see this.
Yeah, this isn't my final answer, but I can
Finally!
see what, like, finally, like, the music of it could, like, just, if I close my eyes, the pathways, if it could remind me of, like, some of these arches type of thing.
Yeah.
But for me, like, initially my pick was going to be It Will Be a Good Day because it talks about, like, all this beautiful scenery. And
that's true. I considered that.
But like with Homeworld, like you mentioned, my initial thought was like, yeah, it's not Homeworld. That makes me think of the video game. But looking at the full art again and like seeing how alien the rocks are with like the windows on them and like the floating rock being kind of like an alien spaceship, like not metallic like we're used to.
Sorry.
It makes me think even more of Homeworld. Just so I think Homeworld is my answer. Like
interesting. That's reasonable. Maybe that's where they ended up.
Yeah, and I know that in parentheses, like the track is Homeworld, The Ladder, and I always thought that was kind of weird, but maybe there's that connection there.
Yeah, what is The Ladder? It's not mentioned in any songs that I can recall.
Yeah, they're not using a ladder to climb these rocks.
I didn't see a ladder.
So I don't know.
Okay, next we have Fly From Here.
Yeah, and we have like a few Fly From Here related things. So
I'm going to click through them as you narrate.
Yeah, so there's the cover art, and then there's like the full art that I found on, I think, Roger's site, which weirdly omits the bird for some reason. And then we have the return trip artwork, which includes this sort of deer-like animal.
It might be an antelope or gazelle.
Oh, yeah, it might be something like that. But yeah, so is there a song that you think represents either both Fly From Here's or one represents one represents return trip? Like, what are your choices?
Well, before I answer that, I want to mention that the thing that I always thought was interestingly curious about this is that you've got the birds you've got what looks like could be a cat in the roots of that. See right there?
Yeah, like a little throwback to drama.
Exactly. That is, see the tail, that's definitely like a panther or something, right? Clearly.
Right.
Look at that. And then in the logo, it looks like scales of either a fish or a snake. See that?
Yeah. Yeah, I definitely see that.
So I think it's interesting how all that's blended together. So I'd have to say, you asked for this one and then Return Trip. I don't really have much separation between the two albums.
Okay.
So I think I don't know if this is a acceptable answer, but I just think of Fly From Here Sweet. If I can group all that together, because it's a story and you've got the flight and you've got the, let's call it a Black Panther possibly, or Black Cougar like my wife.
Oh my gosh, that's no.
Well, what do you separate the two albums, and do you have a song that's more, and I'm curious because if you have a different song that's more representative, I find that interesting since they're basically the same album.
So this might surprise people, but even though there's the flight aspect, I don't think the Fly From Here Suite is the best in my opinion, like, because Fly From Here is more about an airplane and it's mechanical. I think Hour of Need, because it mentions the wilderness and water to drink. So I think I would say Hour of Need for the original. And then for Return Trip, I think I would say the Steve House song, Don't Take No for an Answer, because it begins with him singing, amidst these mountains again, I realize it. So I imagine those mountains, like, you know what I mean?
Yeah. Interesting. That's fair. I like that, actually. You put a lot of thought into that.
Right.
Okay, now, ready for the next one?
Yeah.
And is anyone else commenting? Folks, we'd love your take if you're familiar with the albums and the artwork.
I see Sarah said, y'all give me Flight of the Conchords vibes.
Oh, interesting.
And also that these drawings are beautiful.
Yeah, he is just such a fantastic artist. And I think to delve outside his work with Yes, which we've done, you really see how brilliant he is. He's not just one thing, which is cool. All right, so next we have Heaven and Earth, which that's such an interesting background. Like, I can't tell. I guess it looks like it's in motion as if something is rising out of some ice ocean or something. But I think it's meant to be a static image, right? A static
I've
structure.
Always thought it was a stationary, maybe glacier or mountain or something. You got the tree that has like some frost on it. Almost looks like it connects to the thing. So
yeah, to me, and I'm going to zoom in. I'll tell you what my answer is and why. I'll tell you the why first. To me, there's something very... there's a lot of distance between what we see in the foreground, the green foliage and whatnot, and then what's way back there in the distance. So there's such to me, I'd say an ambient landscape, if you will. So Believe Again, I think just as soon as that song starts, it just seems to fit this scene for me.
Okay, yeah, because there is a mention of climbing to a mountain line, and that did come to mind, but the more I thought about it, the more I sort of leaned to Light of the Ages, because that song begins with such a winter holiday music feel for like the first few seconds, because it sounds like, it reminds me of like bells and chimes and stuff, and then the words mention like through the winter of our lives. And so like that song has such a wintry feel. So like I feel like Light of the Ages might
That works.
qualify for that reason.
Cool. We'll call that a whitescape.
Right.
And then we have,
From a Page.
yeah, this is a really neat one too. Very Asian. I've been to Japan, and that's definitely
Oh yeah, because
even
of
the
that
boat.
tower.
Yeah,
And
the
yeah,
tower, this structure here, this looks
the
exactly like a
roofs.
temple that we saw there in Kochi, and even the boat. It looks like a fishing boat that we've seen there.
Yeah.
I clearly have one for this. Do you?
Yeah, for me, I went with Words on a Page
Me
because
too.
okay, yeah, because it talks about traveling and like distant worlds and planets. And for all we know, this could be a different planet, but
Absolutely.
yeah,
Yeah, and musically to me it just really fit as well. There's something very
yeah,
storybook about it to me. But I
yeah,
love zooming in on these and seeing the detail. Look at that. The
yeah, for sure.
stanchions with the rail, the boat, the head of maybe a snake or serpent there, the temple. Yeah. Cool.
Yeah, I love it. It feels like a little, like, in terms of the blue color, like, it's always felt to me like a throwback to Keys to Ascension in a way.
And there's clearly you're looking through mist through the whole thing. You get the
Right.
mist coming up off the water, and it's like you're looking through mist at the whole scene, which is neat.
Yeah.
I love this. Also, one more thing, this detail, like here, this method goes way, way back to his early days of some of his other work, even outside of Yes, where he was mixing water or oil with the paint and creating these rock surfaces with this like mottled look. So it's kind of got some throwback elements to me.
Yeah, like those swirls remind me of like what I mentioned earlier of the finger painting looking things on
Yeah,
Union and Yes Years. Yeah.
exactly. Last but not least, The Quest. This is another beautiful album cover with so many different elements to it. You got this little river trickling down. You got this rock formation of someone that some people have said maybe that's Chris. Let's zoom in on that a little
Right,
bit.
because the shape is it does look like a person, whether intentional or not.
Yeah, and the way he would dress with a big coat or cape-ish sort of thing, and then there's the song that could be representative of Chris on there. These Asian trees on the rocks, the sunlight coming through. This is beautiful with the shadows right there on the surface and the light hitting there. And then this weirdness, he's got to throw in some architecture made from natural, formations. And then way in the background, the light hitting the mountains and it's just really a lot of stuff going on here. The tree, the detail in the bark, another Asian looking tree.
Yeah, it's such a large scope.
Yeah, it is. What song comes to mind for this?
For me, it's the Western Edge because when I listen to that
Oh,
song, it feels very adventurous, like going to somewhere far, but also like um, and of course there are edges of the like rocks as well, I guess. But yeah, there's just something about the music of the Western Edge that feels to me like the vibe of this location that we see.
you know what? I picked a song for the exact same reason. However, the song I chose, the title is not represented in the image the way you just described the Western Edge is, unless we consider from here to here an ice bridge. But I thought of the ice bridge because I see this picture and I see adventure. And to me, the ice bridge, I hear adventure. There's that gallop, there's the travel aspect. And to me, that just was
Right.
an automatic fit. That
Yeah, that makes
confuses.
sense.
Yeah. Cool. That was fun. We went through 1, if we count just every album, not every piece of work, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 16 albums.
Yeah, it's a lot.
Yeah, and he's done, I don't know how many live albums if we include the DVDs.
Like 100 or something.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Crazy.
Yeah, he's become so connected to Yes's visual identity, and I love the marketing for the tours, even like we were talking about with the logos and stuff. So, and
I loved him incorporating the stage work with his brother Martin in the flash forward version of that with songs from Tsongas, the 35-year anniversary. He hadn't done that since the Relayer tour. Yeah,
so that was quite the event, and what they've been doing with like video wall stuff, showcasing more of the visuals. It's I'm glad that Yes keep the visual aspect alive in all these different ways.
Yeah, it's almost hard to look at an album by Yes that is post-Fragile. It's hard to look at a post-Fragile album that's not a Roger Dean cover. It's just there's a disconnect there, regardless of the lineup, regardless of the music. There's just a disconnect without him there.
Yeah, and here's a couple interesting tidbits. I recently read that Roger said that for Heaven and Earth, he was told the title over the phone, and when he presented it to the band, they were like, wait, that's not the title we thought of. And
that's right.
Yeah, but then they ended up going with it, and I couldn't find I don't think they've said what their original title idea was. I don't know if they're maybe saving it.
It had to be something that sort of sounded like that. So what could sound like Heaven and Earth and be misinterpreted that? Shaven and Birth? Shaven and Girth?
Wow, no.
Haven and Mirth?
Maybe. But the other thing is, I remember one of the Q&As that he did, this is unrelated but related to him. Someone asked him if the angular look of the tree on the Yes Years artwork, if maybe that was inspired by the Going for the One cover with the towers or something, and Roger's answer was God no, and with a laugh.
Yeah, that's hilarious. And I wasn't finished with my possibilities. What about Saving the Firth?
Oh, maybe.
Heaven and Earth, Saving the Firth. How many words rhyme with Earth? Firth, Mirth.
Yeah, I think.
Anything else at all?
Yeah, I don't know. Makes you think.
Yeah, I want to know. Who would know the answer to this? Steve, I guess.
Yeah, I guess. Because.
Billy?
Maybe. Yeah, we'll have to see if there's anyone we can ask.
Yeah, we got to reach out for sure. I wonder if Roger ever found out.
Yeah, because we know he misheard, but did they tell him what it actually was after that whole thing? Interesting.
And then that's funny that they went with what he interpreted rather than saying, no, it's this.
Right.
That's curious. Heaven and Earth must be the better name.
Yeah,
Shaven and Girth. I don't know.
It's Heaven and Earth is kind of a generic name. I thought so back then, and I still kind of think it, but it's what would the other name have been?
Yeah.
But yeah, this was a fun exercise going through all these and going over our interpretations. And happy birthday again to Roger Dean, now 78 years old.
Wow, he looks great too. He looks great. I wish I had, and no matter what head of hair I would have right now, I wish I had his head of hair. I think it looks brilliant. That Snow White head of hair looks great. And folks, if you're watching the archive or listening to it on our Anchor network of podcast channels, go ahead and chime in with your thoughts on these album covers. Rewind it, play back, look at album covers that you're familiar with the material. Chime in with what you think it is. Tell us in the comments if you're watching or listening on a platform where comments are enabled. And you can write us, if you're only hearing it on the Anchor.fm network, you can write us at yesshiftpodcast@gmail.com. If you've never seen the visual aspect of this, and this is the best episode to see that on, this and a previous Roger one, because we're showing all this artwork, you can follow us on facebook.com/Yesshift. And for those of you who maybe just want to listen to us while you're jogging, walking the dog, doing garden work, laundry, whatever, pretending you're doing homework or working in your cubicle, you can go to anchor.fm/Yesshift as well. I think I got everything, Steve, yeah?
You can also search Yesshift on YouTube and you'll find our channel. I think once we get 100 subscribers, we can get the customized URL. We're pretty close, so yeah. And yeah, I think that's everything. And we'll be back on September 6th, so Tuesday of next week, 5:30 p.m. Pacific, US time. And it might be a mix of things. There might be a few news items and a bit of fan feedback, a couple what-if scenarios we might discuss. So
yeah, write us. We read fan mail, if you will. We read comments from where we simulcast this on our Yesshift Facebook page and Drum Talk TV. Why Drum Talk TV? Why? We didn't talk about drumming. Why? Quite frankly, because I'm the Drum Talk TV guy. And Steve works with Drum Talk TV also behind the scenes. He runs things. And I'm the founder of Drum Talk TV, in case you didn't know. And Yes is a huge influence on me. So that's the tie-in, and it's just to broaden our reach and our audience and turn you on to other stuff. And I have something very special I can reveal in a couple days. Well, actually, I have a question for you, Steve, about that. But basically, it's related to Chris Squire and Alan White, two of my huge influences, and I knew Alan since 1989. Steve, when is that thing going to be published that I'm making that thing for tomorrow night?
I'm actually not sure. I know it's like due end of August, and I mean, am I allowed to say like what is?
You could say what it is. Just don't tell them about what my submission is.
Okay, so yeah, just a reminder: go Miguelbass.com and. Yeah, people have been submitting their tributes to Chris and Alan. Of course, Alan passed away a few months ago, so it's a nice thing to do. And yeah, like it was originally supposed to, like end of July was the original deadline, but got extended to end of August. So yeah, pretty much at the last, within the last day, I guess right now, tomorrow being the 31st. For
yeah, it started as Play for Chris, where people could submit them playing music by Chris or playing to music by Chris. Mostly, of course, would be Yes music. Or you could go on camera and just give a spoken tribute, get up to 90 seconds and say, oh, Chris was just such a huge inspiration. I'm not a musician, but I saw Yes 22 times. My favorite, anything like that. And then, like Stephen said, they added Alan White, being that he just passed away in May. So Stephen prodded me to do a submission, and let's just say I came up with something just a couple days ago that comes from the what did I get myself into department, and I'm actually recording it on video tomorrow, the 31st, to get it in just in time. And why am I not doing it now or earlier? One, I got to learn what I created, and two, just busy schedule. Busy. I'm busy. Yeah. Hey, busy and important. Okay, just busy. So yeah, you folks should check that out. What's the website? Maybe you want to put it in the comments as well?
Yeah, I'll put it down. It's Miguelbass.com.
Yeah, and submit, folks. Be part of this. If you're a Yes fan, Chris fan, Alan fan, Dan fan, Stephen fan, Miguelbass fan. And let's see what you got. Bring it! I'm bringing it. I'm bringing it big time. I'm proud of what I'm going to attempt to do. I'll let you know if I'm proud of how it comes out.
Right. But yeah, I think that's everything. We've done all our plugs, and yeah, this was a lot of fun, and we'll see everyone next time.
Yep, and you could pretty much, we kind of have one more thing, somewhat of a regular schedule now, where we're going to do this most Tuesdays at 5:30 Pacific US, 8:30 p.m.
Well, we'd have to look at our schedule, because I know we chose certain dates that are not Tuesday. So
well, I said mostly.
Well, September is kind of we'll post the schedule.
You're right.
Whatnot. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, we should We should. I don't know. I don't know what I'm doing. Steve's the producer. What am I again? Why am I here?
You play drums and are familiar with this music.
Okay, there you go. That's good enough. We should make a graphic like a tour poster with the dates. The only catch with that is that we got to stick to them. And once in a while, something sideways goes sideways, and then we have to change the date. But maybe we'll do that.
No, yeah, I've previously done a thing where I make a post where it has one of those Facebook background things, and I'll like put the dates and what the potential topic is, and that seemed to work well enough. So maybe we'll do that again. We'll see.
Reminds me, you folks can also write us and submit show ideas. We've done a few that were submitted by fans. So if you got show ideas for Yesshift, where we talk about everything Yes and the periphery and other wacky prog stuff, go ahead and submit something. Yeah,
for sure. So yeah, thanks for listening or watching, and we look forward to hearing from more people and for whatever else we'll talk about next.
Thanks, folks. Bye-bye. Oh, missed a button.